Hey everyone, the name is Kris. Welcome to Comment Time 26. By the way, for the playing parts in this video, I wanted to get out of my comfort zone and use something else. Kris AudioWorks sent me a couple of pedals to test them out, and one of them is an amp and cabinet simulation pedal, something that you would put at the end of your pedal board, right after all other pedals, like after the reverbs and delays and everything, instead of using an amp. And then you can use an XLR out to go into whatever, the PA system and play live without an amp, or go into your audio interface and record without being loud and without being without using any amps. So I wanted to test it out. So that's gonna be the rig, some drive pedals, and the multi-cab 4 at the end. And I'm not using any actual amplifiers. Whoa. It's been a long time since I made one of these Q&A videos, so you can imagine there are quite a few comments I wanted to react to. Some comments on gear, some comments on songwriting, and some personal questions. Olivia Fudulea. Hi, each time I hear Strat, I think you have got my grail, my holy grail. Are your pickups that mainly give this nice mid-scooped tone? A pleasure to hear you play each time. Thanks so much, Olivia. I think a lot of that tone is because of the pickups. I have these Seymour Duncan Antiquity, like 60s Strat pickups in neck and middle position, and a 50s, like a Blackguard Antiquity Tele bridge pickup. And that combination just makes all the sense to me. I love it to pieces. That being said, it's not just the pickups. As always with guitars, most of the parts of a guitar will make an audible difference. And for example, I even made a video on this guitar and this Strat. It took me 10 years to be saddled. It was a normal run-of-the-mill American standard Strat. I think it was built in 2000. I bought it used, and it had a maple neck, like a maple board as well, and original pickups and pots and tremolo and everything. And I started swapping parts, and with every swap, whether it was the electronics like the pots and switch, or the tremolo, or the neck, or the pickups, obviously, each and every time things changed. The way the notes bloomed, or the amount of presence, or low end or mid range, everything changed a little bit, depending on what I swapped, of course, more or less, but there was always a difference. And I narrowed down the whole thing, the whole guitar, to get to where I wanted to be, which was exactly the tone I have with the Strat now, which in its fourth and second position has a pretty quacky scooped sound, but it's not super scooped, because that's something that some Strats have, and I don't like that, because you disappear in a mix, because you want to readjust your amp or your overdrive when you have those positions selected. On many Strats, at least I tend to always, I don't know, like I really like the neck pickup, the fifth position, but then I go in the fourth, which is the middle and the neck together, and then I miss presence or volume or whatever, mid-range, whatever it is. And right now with this constellation, everything is swapped on the guitar, including the pickups, of course. Now I'm really happy with it. So yeah, the pickups have a lot to do with that. I went through, I don't know, 4, maybe 5 set of pickups until I got here, and I liked all of them more or less, but these are by far, until now, the best. Of course, I didn't try every single Strat pickup, but these were ones that I wanted to give a go, and they were so good I never thought of swapping them again. All right, here's one from Michael, and this is going to be something where I want to ask you to write your opinion in the comment section below. Over a certain level, Distortion is anything but musical. with its compression, it makes every guitar sound the same. The guitarists that went down the route of playing high gain only end up more being an athlete on guitar doing finger sports rather than being a musician. Okay, so I've been on both sides of this argument. For the longest part, I listened to metal and super fast stuff and lots of gain, and I was all into that, and everything with less gain was boring, and I didn't care much about those things. And now I'm on the other side where I don't want to have too much gain because of all that compression, and I kind of feel like after a level of amount of distortion, half of what I do doesn't really matter anymore. I just have to be very accurate, and then I'm a good guitar player, which is kind of just one part of the story. So that's the part where I agree with you that after a certain amount of gain and compression that comes with it, it's much more about being accurate and being more like an athlete compared to someone who has just a cranked old combo with a guitar, and that's it, and no trickery, no noise gate, no nothing. It's just you and your instrument, and it's up to you to make it sound musical, which is a very different challenge. And most of the metal players who are incredibly good on a well set up guitar with good pickups and a nice high gain sound, those would suffer on a rig that doesn't have enough gain, sounds kind of muffled if you don't play it the right way, and it's just really tricky to make it sound any good. And the other way around, because that's, I think, the important part. We should not fall into the category of snobbery where we say all of those who play a lot of gain are just, putting in a cheat code. and it's so easy to play with so much gain, because if you take a jazz or blues player or funk player and put a high gain rig in front of that person, that will sound terrible. For the most part, there are exceptions, of course, but most of these players who don't know how to play metal right or high gain super fast stuff right, those will sound so bad, it's not going to be enjoyable for anyone. It's pretty similar to the debate between jazz players and classical players. If you ask a classical player, they will say, yeah, this is proper music, and jazz players are just fiddling around, and it's not really actual, where's the detail in the tone, and where's the consistency and everything. And then a jazz player would say like, yeah, but classical players just play, read sheet music and cannot come up with anything original or cannot give their own soul to the music because it's not allowed, because it's all written and carved into stone, and you cannot be individual in any way. So nothing is better. Whatever anyone says, it's just different styles, and a lot of gain, a lot of compression is tough to play. It's up to you to decide if you like that or not, if it's interesting for you or just boring and it just sounds like sports. Okay, let's do something gear related again. This came from Vic Rattlehead. Dude, thanks so much for all the comments and all the support over the years. I see you, and I really appreciate that. Kris, how did you get this big sound with single coils? Like, what's the catch? Did you double track or quad track your guitars or what? What audio interface and software are you using? Please teach/tell me/us. So this was about this guitar. This is the Baum Wingman, original series Wingman, and it has two single coil pickups, close to P90s, but they're not exactly P90s. They have that single coil sparkle, but a lot of mid-range and really beefy ones as well. The output is also not too low. Also, I was playing the Motherload, which is a really cool pedal. It's a mixture between a Rat and a Big Muff. So you could imagine the amount of drive and bigness, low end and everything that a pedal like that will have. it's really not hard to make any guitar, regardless of the pickup type, sound big with a pedal like that. So it's it really depends on which things you combine. If you play a Strat with normal single coils and play it with I don't know, an AC30, it will sound very upper mid-range, heavy and jingly and everything. You will not have a big, meaty rock sound. As soon as you use something like the REVV, which is a distortion / fuzz, somewhere in between, that circuit already has tons of low end and bigness in it. So you can literally plug in a Strat or a Tele and make it sound huge without too much presence or anything annoying, or without sounding thin at all. The rest of the rig was my usual rig, so my REVV on a clean channel, very balanced, super sweet, clean channel that reacts to pedals really well, and then use the aux box with a 2x12 Anico speaker simulation and some mic simulations. And then I went into my Audient ID44 interface. It's a very nice 4-channel interface. And then I went into my DAW in my laptop. So it's a simple, regular setup. It just really depends on the rest of the rig, how a guitar sounds. Here's another comment from someone who is a regular guest, and I really appreciate you, David. This is David Mathai. Again, sorry, as usual, butchering names. Hey Kris, I would be interested to know what bands you grew up with. For me, there was only AC/DC for a very long time, then Kiss came along. For me, the two best bands in the world. Meanwhile, I have of course broadened my spectrum and listened to quite a lot, but these two bands are the reference for me. Nothing can pass that. Cheers, David. I don't think that you can hear a lot of my early influences in my playing right now. That's mainly because I'm not 20. So I've changed over the years, and if I think of those bands, I mean, I can name a few. Like before I discovered rock, whatever, maybe age of 10, 11, I was a huge Michael Jackson fan. Then I discovered, I can't remember what my first rock love was. I guess something like Nirvana. But I know that the Dangerous album by Jackson was a gateway drug to rock because of Slash's work and all those rock-related heavier moments on the album. I really loved that. And then I got into punk a lot, punk rock stuff, Nirvana, obviously, grunge. Also a lot of Hungarian bands that came in that direction. Tankcsapda, really cool punk rock band, and Blackout. If you find Blackout anywhere on the internet, haven't tried it yet, but maybe you can find stuff from that band. That was the biggest influence in my early teens. Sort of a grungy alternative rock, really weird and awesome music. Yeah, and then of course discovered Metallica, got into that, and then went way down, like In Flames, Children Bottom, Opeth, Dream Theater, some black metal stuff, some death metal stuff, like heavy. The heavier the better. And also of course all the big guitar heroes like Satriani. Steve Vai, was a huge Steve Vai fan for the longest time, John Petrucci and all those people. And then I discovered Eric Johnson, and then in the music college years, I got influenced by all the others, all the jazz people, and listened to a lot of fusion jazz rock stuff, Tribal Tech, Scott Henderson, also some proper smooth stuff like Pat Metheny and all those amazing musicians and styles and everything, Chick Corea, etc. So my spectrum broadened a lot, and I didn't really listen to metal anymore. at all, I think. And then when I moved to Germany in 2008, that's around the time where I discovered Johnny Cash, Doors, Zeppelin, Hendrix. I was already over 20. I think I was in my 20s. That's where I discovered all those things that define how I play now much more than anything else, I think. Maybe I see it differently than someone who's just listening to the music I write or the stuff that I play. But yeah, it's I've not been a big dad rocker and blues fan for the longest time. Next one is from Roger YT69. Cool pedal, but also clever marketing move from REVV. He's talking about the Chat Breaker, this pedal, which is a really cool pedal. First of all, it sounds amazing, and the second thing is that the story is fun because the guys at REVV asked the AI, probably ChatGPT, to design them a pedal. The circuit was a disaster. It didn't work, so Dan had to, the master engineer at REVV, had to redesign it, like sort of fix all those issues, and then they made the pedal. It sounded so good that they wanted to bring it out because it was too good to not releasing it. And the fact with a clever marketing move, 100%. That's, I think, an important thing to understand is that marketing is, and like an advertisement, is not necessarily bad. It's something that is necessary nowadays if you want to achieve anything in life. If you are a musician and want to reach some sort of an audience, you need to be able to market yourself. It's not a curse word, marketing or advertisement. It's just something that will hopefully let people know about what you have and let them know why it could be interesting for them. It's, I think, a perfect example of how you should market stuff. Fun, spontaneous, and authentic, and not doing the aggressive, sort of annoying and lame, boring kind of ads. I think this is how modern marketing should be. I decided to split this video in two parts because otherwise it would be way too long for today's standards, even on YouTube. I will put the second half online this weekend. So if you don't want to miss it, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Check out the description box. Under the video, you'll find all kinds of stuff in there, some additional infos, timestamps, etc. And see you in a few days in the second half of Comment Time 26. Bye-bye.